Wiiisdom. I'm with Byron Williams. Byron, can you introduce yourself?
I'm Byron Williams, Chief Administrative Officer with the Oregon State Treasury. Been working with Wiiisdom now for about a year now.
Thank you very much, Byron, and thank you very much for your business. So, Byron, today, how do you use Wiiisdom for Tableau? So, what are your primary use cases? What's your vision?
I think for us, the primary use case for it really is that day-to-day governance of the data and making sure that the dashboards that my team work so hard to develop are accurate and up to date. And that was one of my big concerns as we started having broader and broader adoption across the organization is what happens when an extract doesn't get updated? What happens when a feed hasn't been updated? And there's stale data there, my end users don't realize it, and they make a bad decision. And for us, that keeps some significant impacts there. We're a large institution, but like one specific group I work with, they're making court filings off this data. I don't want them to make a bad court filing. They need to know if that data is not fresh. They don't have a problem asking me and waiting for a little while to get the data updated if they know it. And that's the key, really, is making sure my team and everybody that's using our dashboards knows that data's solid, it's up to date, and if there's an issue, they know about it immediately and come back and ask, hey, what do we do and how do we move forward? And so we can really help them and be proactive rather than just reactive.
And is Wiiisdom used in an automation manner, like to schedule test every day? Is this something part of the way that you're using Wiiisdom today?
Yes. So our data sets are the refresh cadences are set by other agencies. And so it's given us a little more ability to monitor when they actually get their parts of the process done. Previously, we'd have to wait until the very last minute that we would need the data and just hope they've gotten all their stuff done in time, which can be, sometimes days later. But it allowed us to build in a more regular update cadence, have those things scheduled, and just see them happening. Also, to get notified, I wasn't going back and following up with staff. I get the emails if there's a failure. I already know the team's on top of it. And so there are a lot less questions coming down to staff. They can focus on fixing the problem instead of responding to 30 people asking questions.
So automatically, essentially, you can move your dashboard from production down to dev or test.
Correct.
And how important is a certification for you for a dashboard? What does that mean for you?
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the features you guys have rolled out here recently that I'm really excited for, is running those tests made it simple for me to understand. I saw the emails, I got those reports. It wasn't necessarily the most intuitive for some of our end users. Whereas the dashboard certification, that visual reminder that we can put on there now, just makes it crystal clear, easy to understand to the end user who's not a Tableau creator. That they go into these dashboards, they're using them just like they're using another product. They don't even realize they're in Tableau necessarily. So now they've got that real quick visual cue of where are things.
And just last question as well, what does analytics governance mean for you using Wiiisdom? So today, analytics governance, we hear from our customers something very critical because they want to ensure that essentially all their dashboards are tested. They want to ensure that not only their data is tested, but also their dashboard. What does that mean for you, Byron?
Yes, I think that's definitely an important piece for us, especially on the training side of things. I think we've seen it a lot where we put a lot of effort into documenting out our dashboards, how to use them, making some basic guides for end users, but also put some video clips on what is that dashboard, how does it work. And so having that functionality consistent and knowing that even if we update across versions, when things are changing, I think a lot of times you can also, even little subtle changes that may not change how the dashboard works, but real quick, it's a trigger from my team of, hey, that's no longer in the same place, that's no longer the same color. Some of those just basic pieces that we can then go, hey, do we need to update our training materials to reflect back that, hey, it looks a little bit different. They're not pulling up documentation going, oh, that was clearly made 10 years ago. It gives us a little more ahead of the curve there as well. But at the end of the day, it's all about delivering consistent quality data and consistent quality dashboard to our customers.
How has been your experience with Wiiisdom from the time that we met actually at TC last year to the time that has been implemented? So how has been the experience with the product, with the team?
Yeah, it's been great. You know, it's often I've been in a lot of implementations where, hey, once you've sold the product, great, we'll talk to you in a year when it's time for license renewal. You know, shout out to Ace. You know, I don't know how many times you're going to run into problems on any software, and it's not necessarily your side of the thing; it's on my side of the line every time. Being able to make a quick call, get on a call with Ace, sit down, go through it. He's been wonderful to work with. You know, you've been helping us out quite a bit on just information and background, helping us mature our programs. But it really has been a collaborative experience, and getting things resolved. It's not just a here's your license, which I've been very appreciative.
Thank you very much. What are the top 3 things that you prefer with Wiiisdom for Tableau? If you would recommend to somebody else, what would you tell them? What are the top 3 things that you tell them?
I'm a firm believer in data quality. You know, so automated data quality check is probably the number 1 on my list. That is just critical to anything downstream from there. Garbage in, garbage out. And being able to automate it and build out a way that we can actually have those things standardized. And the second really is that same testing, but across the dashboards, across versions and data updates, that we have a small team. And too often you have a single point of failure with a person. Somebody's out of the, how many times, I don't know how many times I've been out of the office, and because I wasn't there to do my step in the process, stuff gets slowed down, delayed, doesn't work right. Having that automation there, those things get scheduled so that now, sure, if I'm out of the office, I might have to step back in when there's a failure, but it's only because there's a failure, not because he's done it the first time. So those are probably the top 2 for me, is that the data quality checks and the automation of the checks.
Okay. Thank you very much, Byron, and thanks for your business, and thanks for joining us at TC24.
Thank you
very much,
great.
Byron.